and watched me bring the fight. I sat there in first row. I saw what I thought I'd never know. Ruby shit. No. Okay. Okay, what's up?
Yeah, that was cool, man.
That was awesome. I didn't even think I was on.
Well, you are now. I turned it on because you were rocking for a while, and I was like, hey, I should just, while I'm geeking out looking at stuff.
Oh, just a new song I'm trying to figure out,
because I need a few minutes once I start the broadcast to actually start sending the link around to places and things like that. So sing away for 5-10 minutes. I could.
Okay.
We'd be happy to have another song while I welcome everybody to this week's broadcast. Joey Only Caribou Weather Dude. You can tell because I got the word caribou on my hat. We already got our friend Martin Hollowell. He's with CKUW radio. He's singing songs right now on the guitar. We'll talk about his radio show. Ben and Houck's here. I'm Joey Only. Yeah. So hit like, hit subscribe. And I'm going to spend this couple minutes here sharing the link around, trying to make sure that everybody out there knows where they can find the meteorological report.
It's unthinking, it's unfeeling, it's just doing what it needs to do. You don't want it in your life, you wish it didn't exist, but you will have an impact on you. How many chances do you get? What percentage will you be hurt? Do you keep on living free? Do you keep feeling safe? You're being crushed. You're being bit hard. You're set on fire. You bleed. Asteroids and bed bugs, exposing all your fears. When they're a million miles away, or at home so near, there's no good or evil, only pain and whatnot. Will you be eaten alive, or will you die and rot? And what if? Oh, what if? What if? What if? What if? Does one live the day as if it's their last? Does one take their time in the present, not the past? One of the future, how will you be endeared? Doing as much as you can, or nothing as you fear. Everyone dies alone, only thing you really own. Standing there by yourself, lying down on your own. Asteroids and bed bugs, exposing all your fears. Whether a million miles away, or at home so near, there's no good or evil, only pain and whatnot. Will you be eaten alive, or will you die and rot? And what if? what if I quit the song?
Yeah, that's Martin Howell. He's out in Winnipeg joining our show this week, and he has a show on CKUW radio. So that's kind of the connection here, because we're going to be on CKUW radio like we are every week, right?
Yeah,
And
Mondays.
yeah, talk to us about your show.
Hello.
Give me an overview of your show, Martin, so that we got some talking points tonight when we hit record.
It's more or less a variety show. I have a type of schizophrenia known as schizoaffective disorder, SAD. It's when schizophrenia combines with intellectual disabilities. And I just can't do the one same thing for a long period of time. I just can't just play, I just can't play song after song after song and then tell people about it and then, do it over and over and over again. So first part is me playing DJ. I play music that's been fluttering my heart, for the last week. And then we do interview guest of the week. That comes out up at the 30-minute mark. And then we do comic book radio theater, depending on how long it takes. And then we do sports report, where we do the worst sports report we can.
Hey, Nick, I'm live right now. I'm live right now on my show, buddy.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, say hi to everyone, though. Here's Nick. He runs a wildfire company.
Hello, Nick.
How's it going, man?
Good. If I send you the Zoom link, you should jump on the show later.
Yeah, I'm just driving right now. I'm driving up Island.
Yeah, all right.
I could be a call and talk to you in a little bit.
Yeah, well, maybe later tonight or tomorrow.
Yeah, why don't you give me a buzz in here after your show or tomorrow?
Sounds good, buddy.
Okay, buddy. Good to see your face.
Right on. You too. Ciao.
Yeah, ciao, man.
That's Nick Hill. He's one of the guys who he's a boss. He runs a wildfire company. And I'm wearing a wildfire company sweater right now, You there right now, Brandon?
Oh, yep.
Sweet.
I'm stuffing my face full of food here.
Oh, yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. We're a little early, so get the
All
stuffing
good.
in. What do you got this week, you think? Give me an overview.
Oh, yeah. So this week we've got the big change in the weather pattern for the
There's the
weekend.
cold front. Yeah.
And we have this.
That's kind of the theme of the show, really, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, this
For
big
weather, yeah.
little bit of snow coming tomorrow, which will be nice. And how warm it's been this week. And we'll also talk about the wind, the Mackenzie Screamer today. That is and then, yeah, we'll also probably touch base on that storm out east as well. That's been pretty wild too.
Yeah, tornadoes and all, eh?
Tornadoes, yeah. Tornadoes and Newfoundland getting wind gusts of 160 kilometers an hour tonight. So should be a rocking good time on the rock.
You say that with such enthusiasm. I love it.
That's my goal every day.
Good.
Yeah, that's the kind of wind you'd think would blow those houses right off those rocks. Like, I don't know what's got them anchored there.
That's why they call it the Wreck House Winds.
Yeah, okay.
They named the community Wreck House Newfoundland. So
Yeah. How's my audio today, Brandon?
oh, your audio sounds marvelous.
Does it? It's been good lately, and I don't know why. I don't want to screw anything up.
Well, don't screw it up then.
Just like don't touch anything. Hey,
It's
Imogen,
easy,
this is Martin.
Hi.
You may have met him before at the Cobalt. He's
Okay.
out in Winnipeg. He runs a radio show in Winnipeg at CKUW.
Oh, cool.
So we're doing a little bit of cross promotion there, because I think it's really good for our station for our show to have connection to CKUW, because we don't often have anybody besides Joe Stover from Manitoba. And it's just like
Touche.
they take our show on, they're really good about it.
Nice.
Sometimes I'm like, yeah, we're just sort of this like weird thing they plug into on Monday if we don't have any Winnipeg connection in the show ever, right? So that's why I always try to make sure we do Winnipeg weather with Brandon, for example, right?
What the?
Yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck is going on with my camera, but my good camera is just not working right today, and I can't get into any of its settings. So now I'm stuck with this bullshit that makes me look like a washed out fucking cartoon.
I like your good
Whatever.
camera. Is that the one you sent me videos from?
Which one? Oh, the videos that I sent earlier today?
Yeah.
No, those were recorded on my phone. I got four cameras if you count my phone, but no, I've got the onboard webcam, and then I've got two peripheral cameras that I use for different things. And the one that I normally use for the show, inexplicably, it's just like Zoom is picking it up, but my computer is not. And I guess that I don't know, I can't. I'm staying at a hotel right now, and like those of us that are stuck here, it's like nothing but technical problems. It's fucking brutal, man.
Yeah, testicle problems.
So just a heads up, I might drop out because the Wi-Fi just sometimes it'll go for like a few minutes and then it's done, and then it takes 10 minutes to reconnect.
You're in a hotel.
I'm in a hotel.
Yep. I get it.
Yep, I'm out of town for training right now, so.
That's right. Yeah, you're shooting guns today.
Damn right I was. Hey, technical malfunction, son of a bitch.
I've done radio
when it does that though.
Yeah, it did
You
that last
suddenly
time
become
too.
Martin. It was like shape-shifting imaging.
Yeah, it did that last week too.
That.
With the
All right, let's try closing a few things here.
and then you
What do you got this week, Imogen?
What have I got?
Yeah.
Apparently technical problems. Motherfuck.
I mean, apart from the testicle difficulties.
Yeah, there's the really shitty camera. That's the onboard one.
oh boy, looks like you're on Mars.
It looks like I'm on a shitty VHS.
Well, if you just like crouch down to the bottom half, it wouldn't be so bad, you know?
Yeah.
Well, here we are for now. That's a craptastic hotel bed behind me that does in fact have a fucking blood stain on it.
Oh boy.
On the side.
So far, we got Winnipeg, Brooks, Alberta. We got Victoria, British Columbia. We got Grassy Plains, BC showing up. Hilding Donaldson.
All right.
Awesome.
Right on. Full complement coming. Full complement coming.
There we go. People doing human type things.
Like radio.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was a couple months ago I did radio from a hotel room, and I was really loud, and that was at 6 a.m. So I feel bad for anybody who's right beside me in the room next to me because I was really loud. I
remember I had to do radio at the logging camp last winter.
Yes.
If you recall, and like the walls are paper thin, and they're, you know, the rooms are like basically jail cell proportions, right?
Awesome.
So then all them old loggers, what do? They go to bed at fucking 7 o'clock at night so they can get up at 3 a.m. to drive big machines around the snow. And you know, and then some fucking dummy, there's like, you know, the camp wasn't very big, but the wing we were in, there was only 5 rooms that were used out of the 14, and there'd always be someone who'd come throw their shit in the room next to me, and I'd be like, you know, you're gonna regret this. I'm totally weird. You never had this happen at a logging camp before. And then the internet just sucked, and I'm so glad I have EI right now. The avalanche conditions have really settled down. Check that out, eh?
Mm-hmm.
On the coast, like predicted, really low all of a sudden. So all that, it's been
ramping
raining
up
here a lot, right? So that's made that level, that the snowpack that's been sitting on top of that hoarfrost, it's made it really heavy. It's helped amalgamate it into the snowpack as well. So it's really driven down. But of course, we had the fatality that happened at Oasis, the snowmobiler, and then we had the 2 guys that got killed at Jarden. They were from Pennsylvania.
Oh yeah.
With a helicopter ski company skiing, and like, I don't know, we've been shouting like this is one of the worst snowpacks until today, and maybe tomorrow. It's been one of the worst snowpacks in a very long time. Very dangerous, very sketchy, really large avalanches happening, and you scream. I make a video screaming off the mountaintops and like 80 people watch it. And it's like, what can you do?
I guess they want to die.
Someone does.
Yeah.
Someone gonna.
It's okay
High
if they want.
persistent and deep persistent slab avalanche has been reporting every day the past week. If you don't want to die, stick a low, don't go to low angle, go to where the big slab is and jump on it. So it says considerable. Brandon, what does considerable mean? Does it mean good?
Considerable, that means it's kind of like, let's say between the moderate, kind of like the severe weather risks. If you look at those, you get the slight risk. Considerable is kind of like enhanced on a thunderstorm outlook, and then you get your higher end risk, for example, kind of like same thing that they have in the US there for severe weather, which I wish we had a little bit better that here in Canada. We have it, but it's not that great. It just needs some more tweaking, I think.
So it kind of means like you might not see an avalanche, but then again, the whole mountainside might fucking go, boy.
That's right.
That's what it means. That's what I heard.
Mm-hmm. And with doing radio in the Crow's Nest Pass now, I've added avalanche risk in my weather as well. So my farm forecast there. Since
Good, you should.
Oh yeah.
I should play my avalanche clips and be like, subscribe to Joey Only, Caribou Weather Dude, man. Give him tips and help him. Snow will accompany 2 cold fronts sweeping across the province on the next 2 days and the arrival of the Arctic air mass for the weekend. So the first cold front today will bring snow to the interior. It's been mostly raining. It's turned to sort of slush right now. And above freezing lay over the sea to sky and south coast ranges may lead to pockets of freezing rain or drizzle at alpine elevations. The front will move through overnight into Friday morning. The Arctic front moves into the province. Alberta Friday afternoon will push onto the coast on the weekend. Snow will accompany the passage of the cold front as the Arctic air scours the moisture. Watch for potential for ridgetop blow and snow across the Lizard and Purcells Friday afternoon and Saturday with the passage of the cold front. Strong winds are also forecast for ridgetops across the northwest coastal, sea to sky and Vancouver Island ranges with moderate winds for south coast ranges on the weekend. Alpine temperatures will be between -20 and -30 across the Rockies by Sunday morning. Ouch, eh? So look out. I totally can't wait because that's what I love about living here in the mountains. The upper cold front associated with the upper trough will sweep across the province Saturday morning. Alpine temperatures, yes, -20, -30 easily by Sunday morning, but it's going to be worse for Winnipeg, right?
Yeah, gotta be worse for Winnipeg. That's right.
It's going to be worse.
I can make those noises too.
It's Winnipeg. Everything is worse for Winnipeg.
The deep freeze.
Winnipeg is known for unpleasant weather. Awesome people, but terrible weather.
Well, the bad
They
weather
call it
makes
winter peg for a reason.
Yes.
And
To
the
me,
winter
this sounds
pig,
delightful. I love the miserable, cold, rainy, wet, yucky weather that makes everyone else cringe and get pneumonia.
Yeah. So luckily in Winnipeg, you don't have to worry about the rain. Because
If you're not amphibious.
Can I speak about Winnipeg weather?
That's where I was trying to get.
Oh, social too. Okay. Okay. Today's weather, it was like one of those days where the weather's going to suck, but it didn't suck as much.
Ooh.
Or it didn't suck as much as you thought it would. Why?
Yeah.
Snow's coming down, some of it in like really big flakes and stuff like that. It's like a -26 or really like it really feels really cold and everything. But for once, no wind.
Wow.
0 wind. When I went out for my cigarette break, it was like all comfy as long as I had my like big jacket and toque on. It was all like comfy to stand out there for 10 or so minutes. And
I know what you mean. When it's like, it's not so bad, because it's like, there's that other worse thing. It's like when I used to work in the downtown east side of Vancouver for PHS, Portland Hotel Society. And then I work at the Washington Hotel, and those bathrooms in the 2nd and 3rd floor, and especially the 4th floor. And as you go up the building, each time you get to those shared bathrooms, you come to one and it'd be like a toilet just stuffed with diarrhea and paper. And I'd be like, oh my God, anything but that, you know? And then like I'd have 2 or 3 of those in a row, but then I'd come to a toilet where it was just full of rigs only. And I'd be like, oh, thank God. It's just full of rigs, you know, because I'd had enough because the shit was so, you know, but then after 3 or 4 toilets of rigs in a row, you're like, oh, thank God it's the diarrhea. That's what kind of Canada weather's like, right?
That is an excellent comparison. A toilet full of rigs versus liquid excrement. I love it.
I think one of the smartest decisions I ever made was when I worked at the Cobalt in Vancouver. First off, I only made friends with people who know Wendy 13. Only people who are friends with Wendy 13 are my friends.
Fucking A.
And I had no interest in drugs. I saw too many people make fools of themselves. So no interest in drugs.
My favorite Wendy 13 story I tell is the last night. You're probably there the last night of the Cobalt with Wendy in charge, and there was bands playing. It was all fucking awesome. And her daughter was serving at the bar, and I was sitting at the back corner next to Wendy.
Okay, for sure I wasn't there. Okay.
And you know, so you feel like you want to say something, but you can't really kiss Wendy 13's ass because that's not cool either. You know, that's not how she is. So you try to be cool. So, you know, you're just like, hey, Wendy, you know, I just want to say once that I love this place and it totally kicked ass and you did it. And for whatever happens from here on in, it's like, you know, we're all very thankful. And then she's just sitting there. I said something to that effect, right? You know, and then she's just sitting there quietly and then starts nodding and goes, 25,000 watts. That's what the sound system at the bar was.
Yeah.
So that was her big point of sorrow, you know, 25,000 watts in the bar closing. She loved her sound system.
Yeah.
11 minutes till Frankie time. Till we gotta start minding our language and manners and become real.
Who's Frankie?
Frankie McDonald. Okay, someone explain this. Imogen?
Explain what?
Frankie.
How do you explain Frankie?
Because Martin's never come into contact with Frankie, believe it or not.
Okay. Well, there's a few ways that we could describe him. I like his introduction as Frankie Mac, the man, the myth, the legend. He's a little bit surreal. Frankie has a form of autism, and his thing is weather. So he will come out of the blue with a rapid fire weather report from random points on the earth.
Okay.
Specific to people he knows is a big part of it. It's that he talks to a guy in Russia, so he'll give you a weather update of where that guy is in Russia, and then random other places.
His weather updates are very much based on how much he cares about his fans, aren't they?
They really are.
Point.
The people he talks to really become the focus of where he learns the weather. This is how he connects to people.
Or at least what he's going to say.
Yeah. He's an absolute sweetheart. He's absolutely hilarious in his own way.
He knows it.
He what?
He knows he's funny.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, in his own way. He's hilarious. Like Frankie brand humor. A lot of people don't get it at first. And for those who are just tuned into him, just love him from the right off the jump. But there's sometimes people meet him and there's a bit of, it takes a minute to zero in on the weird entity that is Frankie. He's absolutely awesome.
He is kind of unusual because I find him amongst the intellectual disability community. Most of the guys are really into sports. And they're like really like hyper focused on like sports. That's all you can get out of them. But he's different. He's into weather.
He's into weather, yeah.
Yeah. Weather's his sport in a way.
It is. It really is. Yeah, he's really tuned into it in an interesting way, and it's the weird kind of equation that makes up the weather is what fascinates him. So he just loves his weather systems, and it's awesome. He gets so happy about it. I'm not that excited about the weather.
You can take anything.
I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for the most part, everyone on this show is different.
Yep.
Very different.
Yep.
What
kind
makes
of,
the show, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Sort of the idea. Eight minutes till Frankie shows.
8 minutes.
Hell yeah.
I'm gonna do like countdown 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and boom, he's
Hey,
here.
I gotta say something about Winnipeg weather.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's been really odd. We had a really deep freeze around Christmas time up to almost New Year's Eve, just like super deep freeze, minus 30 or lower kind of stuff. And just absolutely horrific to go out in. And, if you stopped at a place that you want to go into, it's like you're getting out of the car and you're going like super fast to get back indoors. And so we had that, and then right after New Year's, it was just -5, -6. Most of our January has been just very like under, or shall I say, which direction am I going? But it's been -10 or lower or higher, I should say.
Okay.
Above average. Eh?
Yeah. It's been like that, like, but yeah, today's kind of like the first really cold day in a long time, and yeah, the weather is shaking his fists at us and saying, I'm coming back to kick your ass.
Yeah.
Don't forget about me.
Cold air will invade BC beginning late Friday with a major shift in temperature from our mild January. Temperatures will be 5 to 10 degrees colder than normal for this time of year in the central and southern interior. Periods of gusty winds will accompany the cold air arrival through the interior, may combine with snow, leading to a brief period of blowing snow on Saturday. Temperatures are gradually expected to rise next week in early February. However, there remains significant uncertainty on the timing on the return to seasonal temperatures. Brandon, significant uncertainty?
Yeah, it looks like we might see a little bump up in the temperature trend into next week there. So this will not be anything like what we saw in December. So that's the good news. As you got it pretty cold up there in Wells.
I saw -40 for Fort Mac though.
Yeah, but Fort Mac and areas, especially in the eastern prairies, that's where the cold air is really going to take its toll for next week at least. So that's what we've got there. Meanwhile, BC and Alberta, we're going to be on the right side of the jet stream for part of next week, which is a good thing for us. But for Manitoba, it's not a good thing. So they're going to be on the bad side of the jet stream. That means they're going to be bitterly cold.
Can you confirm a conspiracy theory I heard of?
Oh, yeah?
I heard that the jet stream no longer exists and that it's a conspiracy theory to make people believe it's still around, and that all this terrible havoc weather will happen to all over the world because the jet stream no longer exists.
Well, the good news is there's more than one jet stream. So we got a northern jet stream, the troposphere jet stream, and then you get your southern jet stream there. And I can confirm that the jet stream is still alive and well. And we have, it is what is tracking this other storm that's moving through the eastern prairies today, this Mackenzie low. So we're in a bit of a ridging here. So it's taking it southeast into Winnipeg tonight with that little blast of snow. And that is what's going to allow this cold Arctic air to take its toll next week.
Still got 4 minutes. We still got 4 minutes till showtime, and Glen Foster just showed up, our awesome comic in Ottawa. Let's get a mic check with him before we get rolling. How you doing, Glen?
I already thought you were taping the show.
Well, we're broadcasting already, but this is the funny part. We're broadcasting on YouTube, and then we start the recording session of the radio show at 7.
Oh, okay.
I know it's fucked up, right?
So
Yes,
you're
it
not-
is.
We don't have to use radio friendly language until 7, and then after 8 we can be ourselves again.
Oh,
What are
okay.
you doing, Glenn?
I'm good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you sound
Yeah.
fantastic.
Okay, because
Glenn, that Canadian guy.
I don't know if I can hear me. I'm just pushing up my sound here. Because I can hear you guys. So I think I might be bouncing around a little bit in this room, but
No,
nonetheless.
you sound really good, actually.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah,
It's just
and I like that you have the actual, you gotta have the fucking mic. It's like comic represent. Frankie's just showing up, so we're almost ready to go. So kind of the format will be that I'll introduce the show, I'll introduce everybody. We're gonna run through Frankie quick, as we always do, as quick as Frankie wants. And then when Frankie's done, we're gonna talk to you, Glenn, and then
Okay.
Martin, and we're gonna make that sort of
and are we talking about like the weather?
for
Like
that
what-
segment, yes.
Okay, good. Just
Okay.
so I know. Yeah. So
And
I
then
better figure out what the weather is then, I suppose.
And then we go to Brandon for Western Canada weather, and then we'll cycle through whoever's on the panel who's here and get their sort of takes and their local takes. And then we'll go back to you and Martin and feature you in the second half of the show. Especially Joe Stover even showing up. Fucking, this is going to be a good show.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Joe's showing up. Fantastic.
I thought so. So you have to keep it radio friendly, as I understand. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, our audience is
Tragically.
university stations, right? So
Oh no, I get. Oh, it is. Okay. So
Yeah,
yeah, but you don't want
Hey.
any. You don't want any F bombs essentially, or do you care?
no, I do care because
Yeah.
Joey has to
On-
edit them out.
Right. Okay.
Well-
So that's fine. That's fine because I was good. It's funny that I found this clip earlier. That's like just a hilarious clip about the weather in Newfoundland, and it's like from I don't know 10 years ago something, and I was like, oh man, I forgot all about that. But it's like F-bomb laden, so you will not be able to use it. But I was going to send you something else later, so
we
I'll
have
find.
we've never had any complaints from the stations.
Yeah,
but,
no,
in
but
my
there's
previous-
there's a lot of F-bombs in this particular thing.
Yeah.
So
in my previous incarnation as a radio DJ, I had an altercation where one of my guests was quite foul, and I laughed about it and said, "You're going to get me in trouble."
and you did
and,
get in trouble.
And the directors did not like that. Like, you don't pit us against everybody. So what I'll do is when I start, we'll get everyone to just mute. And if you can use those hand up icons in the bottom there, the raise hand.
Oh,
I'm totally into having people come and go freely. I just like to make sure we have nice segmented clips where we don't have people talking over each other and stuff.
right. So do you want us muted?
Yes, just to start.
Okay, sure. Actually, I can do that. I can do that
Okay.
from
Good morning, Prince George, and good afternoon, Winnipeg. This is the Comedy Meteorology Report, your show about how much the weather sucks in Canada. Meteorology, it's a science that myself, Joey Only, invented, and I had the help of fellow meteorology scientists there, Frankie McDonald and Brandon Hauk. We kind of made this show about how much the weather sucks. I said that, didn't I? You're tuned into C for 88.7 FM, CKUW 95.9 FM in Prince George and in Winnipeg. Welcome to the show, everybody. We have a crazy, awesome full lineup tonight, so I don't want to waste much time talking about how you should watch the show on Joey Only Caribou Weather Dude. I got the hat that says Caribou even tonight. Joey Only Caribou Weather Dude YouTube channel. You can find the video version of the show there, and maybe because you'll see things on the video version you don't necessarily see, such as Imogen doing this weather report from a sauna. Cut. This week, we're going to have some special music because all of you people who are stuck in the cold weather that's coming, you're going to wish you were in Mexico. So this week, our special music interludes are by Mexican Fusca. Cut. All right, everybody. Well, you know what we're waiting for. We're going to wait to talk to the man himself, Frankie McDonald. But first, let me introduce all our guests. We got tonight, comedian Glen Foster. He's that Canadian guy. He's out in Ottawa. He's going to be reporting on the weather from out there. We have also a special guest, Martin Howell. He runs a show on CKUW Radio 95.9 FM in Winnipeg. Can't wait to talk to him. And we have our panel of meteorologists. Of course, Frankie McDonald, the man himself in Sydney, Nova Scotia, is here. And that's what the show is primarily about. And Brandon Houck is here, our Western Canada weatherman. On top of that, we got meteorologist Imogen Cookie Bailey, who's in Victoria. We got Hilding Donaldson in Grassy Plains, British Columbia. Joe Stover, who's also from CKUW, has shown up tonight. He's in Churchill, Manitoba. Pete Galenko sitting down in Colorado. We'll talk to all of them. Of course, featured guest, Glen Foster, that Canadian guy. We'll get to him in a couple minutes. But first, Frankie, the weatherman. How you doing so far this week, Frankie? Can't hear you, Frankie. Can't hear you. Can't hear you, Frankie. Start again. Try to give her now. Try.
Right now, it's really windy in Sydney, Nova Scotia. Right now, it was even higher winds earlier today in Nova Scotia. So winds are pretty fire back up some places in Nova Scotia. It's going to bring some remaining winds. The sunny cloudy barriers. Then it gets so decent rain Sunday night to Monday. And Vancouver, British Columbia, really goes there.
It's so windy, we can't hear you, Frankie. All we can hear is wind and see your mouth moving. Do you think you could find a less windy place?
I'll be back.
Okay, Frankie will be back. Frankie McDonald. He'll be back. Well, we got Frankie waiting to come back. Let's go right to Ottawa, Ontario, where we got that Canadian guy, Glen Foster. Glen Foster, how's the weather in Ottawa, Ontario right now?
First, let me just say I love this concept of Canadians talking about the weather. It's just like, it's so Canadian thing to do. We got negative. I feel like a bit of a shabby here. We got a shabby -7 compared to the -40s and everything going on across the country. So we got a -7. It feels like a -13. But I'm indoors and it feels like, I don't know, about 20.
So what is, the whole, it feels like, is it -7 or is it -20? What is it?
I don't know. I think it's like, well, I'm not outside feeling either of those temperatures. So I don't know right now, but I do know today that I woke up to a fair dumping of snow. I'd say about a foot in the driveway with some drifting and stuff. And my snowblower broke. And the bigger miracle is that I was able to take it apart and actually repair it. So I'm actually, quite proud of myself today for that. That's like such it's a Canadian brag for sure that I fixed my own snowblower. Now,
I mean, I've had trouble fixing a shovel sometimes. So yeah, extra points.
I was quite impressed with myself, as it were.
So what's the weather like when you're doing a comedy show?
Well, this is the thing about comedy in Canada, is because we only get 2 decent months of summer a year. Most comedy tours happen in the winter, right? So, I'm going up to Sudbury next week and Elliott Lake and Sault Ste. Marie. And I haven't actually toured in a while. So I thought, why don't I start with, Northern Ontario and some really dicey driving that depending on what's coming in. If anything came in like what came in last night, next week is going to be a problem.
Driving up that Ottawa Valley, harsh.
Yeah.
Frank McDonald trying to come back in. So he is circling around somewhere out there.
All right.
In the Wi-Fi world. And we'll see if he shows up.
Now, I was in Winnipeg not too long ago, right?
I'm here.
Oh, here he comes.
Oh, right on, Frankie. You found a less windy place. Tell us what's been going on there. It's so windy.
It was really windy because a big low pressure system that hit Texas on Tuesday brought tornadoes in Houston, Texas. Brought a lot of tornadoes in Houston, Texas. Brought a lot of thunderstorms and severe weather where Trey Kent was at. Brought a lot of snow in northwestern Arkansas, Missouri on Tuesday. Then it advanced on to Illinois, brought snow in Chicago. Brought a lot of rain in Richmond, Virginia on Wednesday. brought a lot of snow in Toronto, Ontario on Wednesday. In Montreal, Quebec, and those places brought a lot of snow. In Quebec City, Bonaventure, Quebec, where Monica is at, and Gaspé, Quebec had a lot of snow changes, rain, including Per Se, Quebec, and those places, including Ottawa and Rimouski, Quebec brought a lot of snow and things like this. In Sydney, Nova Scotia, it was really windy and rainy. High winds were way higher earlier in the day, brought high winds and heavy rain.
You're still there.
Brought high winds and heavy rain in Sydney, Nova Scotia, wind-driven rain, sideways rain, howling winds, and things like this. It was power went out in some areas. In my area, there's power went out close to my house. It's on a different transformer. It was really bad in Sydney earlier today. Wind was howling so high. It was mighty windy in my area in Sydney, Nova Scotia right now. Wind was so high. So they had a tropical cyclone in Madagascar, brought high winds, flood, rain, things like this. It's going to bring really windy conditions all across New York next week. It's going to bring polar vortex in Timmins, Ontario, where Jamie Club, aka Clients of Club Podcast, is located in Timmins, Ontario. They're going to bring polar vortex in Eastern Canada next week. Temperature's going to be so cold in Sydney, Nova Scotia this time next week. And then not this weekend, but the following weekend, it's going to be brutal cold in Sydney, Nova Scotia, all across Eastern Canada and the United States. It's going to get snow in Vancouver in early February as well. It's going to bring really cold temperatures. And then an earthquake somewhere in Greece, and it did a lot of damage and things like this. It was really, really windy at Regina, Saskatchewan right now. Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Not only Nova Scotia, but Saskatchewan's really windy. So is New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, Newfoundland, parts of Quebec, and Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and Alberta. Because there's no winds that happen in Alberta right now.
Is this the worst weather you've had in Sydney, Nova Scotia since the Hurricane Fiona?
Yes, worst weather in the world up in Cape Breton Highlands. 250 mile-per-hour wind gust in Shady Camp.
So up 5,000 feet in the mountains, that's when.
Yes.
Yeah, totally. Frankie, what's going on in South America?
Caused a lot of in Central America, South America, the rain of thunderstorms, a lot of rain in Venezuela, Brazil, northern Brazil, and Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, and those places. They're bringing a lot of monsoon rains in, and a lot of rainy season thunderstorms and rain in Ecuador, those places, and then Amazon rainforest. They're bringing lots of cold weather and snowstorm in Sapporo, Japan, including Tokyo, Japan, Kyoto, Japan, bringing snowy conditions in Japan right now. It's really bad in Japan. South Korea is really snowy. So is North Korea, 5 Yasok, Russia, so cold there because Siberia is so cold. Even really temperature went down to minus 50 degrees Celsius in northeastern China.
Right. Is it cold out in Antarctica?
It's really cold in Antarctica. It's starting to get some darkness there right now. Down below Antarctic Circle, they're starting to get darkness for the next few months. McMurdo Station, Emerson Scott Sopo Station will begin 12-hour daylight, 12-hour darkness on March 20th, 2023.
Frankie, what's the weather doing in outer space?
Right now, up in Mars, they're bringing very, very, very powerful winds, much more powerful winds than the planet Earth. Mars winds more powerful than the Earth.
Anybody on the panel have questions for Frankie McDonald? So the wind chill is much higher on Mars then. Is that what I'm getting? Because of the intensity of the winds.
Yes. But it doesn't have oxygen up on Mars. People can't breathe up on Mars.
What's the weather like in South America?
That's Martin Howell, our other featured guest. What's the weather like in South America, in Argentina?
Right now in Argentina, it's getting really hot weather because it's their summertime. Another couple of months, their fall starts, including Oceania, Argentina. Then at least will be changing colors there in March, in April.
Imogen Cookie Bailey.
If people could breathe on Mars, what would it smell like?
Strange.
Can you say that again? I missed you.
If people could breathe on Mars, what would it smell like?
Really bad. They can't breathe.
No, but if you could breathe, like, what do you think is in the atmosphere? No, I get that. But if you could breathe, what sort of smells do you think would exist on Mars? If you could breathe.
Would it smell like flowers or dried spicy shark jerky?
I think it would smell like dust.
Up in Mars. It smells different up in Mars, but people can't breathe up in Mars.
Would it smell like a Mars bar?
It smells like a Mars bar.
Not a Mars bar. Mars is a home planet.
Pete Galenko down in Colorado.
I was going to ask, you said there was 250 mile per hour winds in Cape Breton.
Yes, it was.
What is like the minimum? Like how fast are the winds in like a tornado? Is there like a classification?
540 kilometers per hour.
That was like. I was gonna say because that's how like I was just wondering. That was like always half the speed of a tornado.
So I don't think that was the wind speed in Sydney itself. That was the wind speed of the Cape Breton Highlands, which can go up to 5,000 feet above ocean level. So up in the Highlands, the winds, and there's not much for trees there. And now you know why, because sometimes when those winds hit, nothing can really grow in that climate easily. Any other questions for Frankie before we talk to Martin Howell about his show in Winnipeg?
The key question is, what's the weather like on the Canso Causeway?
Right now, it's even windier on Canso Causeway than in Sydney, Nova Scotia, because it's right next to the water. Canso Causeway is much windier in Sydney, Nova Scotia today.
Yeah, it's I've driven that, man. That's deadly in the winter.
Vancouver, British Columbia is well overdue for a magnitude 9.0 greater magnitude.
Frankie, people in Vancouver can't escape major earthquakes forever, can they?
They can't, because the lies on the Cascadian subduction zone lies between North American Pacific Plate and Juanifico Plate and the Pacific Ring of Fire.
So, of course, we'll have Frankie throughout the episode. Frankie McDonald, the one and the only. I want to talk to Martin Howell quickly because he's in Winnipeg and he broadcasts on CKUW. Tell us about your show and tell us about the weather in Winnipeg right now.
My show is Winnipeg Arena is on Fire. You could call it a variety show. I play a lot of underground music. Very little of the mainstream top 40 and up there. So it's very much me discovering new music, but generally within the punk, alternative, indie, heavy metal, goth, some bizarre electronic dance music type. So, let's see. So I do that for the first 30 minutes, and then we have our interview guest of the week. It's always someone new every week. I recently did an interview with Leona Boyd. Yesterday I interviewed Rami Mays.
Nice.
I think coming up this week will be a band out of Montreal. They're like a psychedelic rock band called the Flamingos Pink. They're more famous over in Europe than they are here in Canada. But yeah, I change who my interview guests are once a week. I have a past of playing music and doing touring and doing, but I've also worked for record labels as well and everything like that. And I think the people that the musicians and bands that I interview, I think they really like talking with me because I've seen what their lifestyle is like. I've seen what their workplace is like and stuff like that. And it doesn't take long to realize that I can relate to them and they could relax with me and stuff like that. So usually it's a pretty buddy conversation between me or whoever I'm interviewing. Dan,
later in the episode, we're going to talk to you about your comic readings.
I was just about to mention it.
Yes. Well, I want to kind of move through before we get to kind of the more open and where we're going to spend more time talking to Glen Foster and you specifically. But your comic readings are awesome, and I do want to talk about that. But first, we do have to get to all the Western Canada weather details. We got Brandon Houck coming up in just a moment. Brandon Houck, what do you got for us this week?
Yes. Well, last week we've had all the fog, and I kind of got sick and tired of that. But now this week we're above average. Temperatures reaching at least 6-7 degrees for the last couple of days. Absolutely lovely. And now we've got a big change in the weather pattern. We've got this big Mackenzie low. We're calling it a Mackenzie screamer as it makes its way through portions of Saskatchewan, producing some pretty strong winds, as Frankie mentioned there. Regina registered a wind gust of 95 kilometers an hour, and we had some pretty strong winds across parts of east central portions of Alberta and into, as I mentioned, that is now pushing into Manitoba now. That produced some snow squalls earlier today, some frontal snow squalls with that warm front. We even had some rain last night here, and it was kind of freezing rain, especially into the areas right around Oyen, Coronation as well. And now we're dealing with the cold front that's coming down from the north with another impulse moving in out of Montana. And that's going to produce a bit of snow tonight and through the day on Friday, which will be the 27th there. And that will mean potentials there for about 10 to 15 centimeters of snow for the southwestern foothills and up towards, let's say, Kananaskis and Banff National Park regions. And that will also mean 2 to 4 centimeters of snow for the rest of central southern portions of the province as we go through Friday. And then this cold Arctic air descends from the north with an Arctic high dropping in, and the temperatures, especially in the eastern prairies, especially as we go into next week, we will see the overnight lows approaching the minus 30s, wind chills at around a minus 40 and even colder than that for many areas across the eastern prairies. We probably won't get as bad here in Alberta. I'd expect probably about minus 20s, maybe. Oh, yes. Minus 20s, minus 30s as we go into early next week. And then we get a little push of Pacific air that will boost the temperature up just a little bit. So temperatures will be back to near average for at least Alberta and British Columbia. Well, BC will continue to be in the influence of that Pacific air. And Saskatchewan, Manitoba looks like it's going to stay cold all next weekend. And I got to tell you, what did the snowman use to get to work? Well, he rode his icicle. Absolutely.
See, even in Prince George, like compared to the last cold snap we had, minus 21 expected Saturday night, minus 18 Sunday night, minus 20 with chance of flurries Monday night, minus 16 chance of flurries, and we're through kind of the darkest part of the winter. So, I mean, is this the last real good cold snap we get? And and considering that we had minus 44 knocking here in December, are we going to complain?
Never.
Right on, never. How's the Brooks Bandits doing? Brandon, how's the Brooks Bandits doing?
Oh, yes, Brooks Bandits. Well, I got a couple good stories from those Brooks Bandits here. So last week, we lost badly. We won't talk about that game on Friday night there, but then Saturday, they got on the bus to Canmore, and we won that game 5-1. And this is a pretty interesting story from that broadcast that night. So a kid was not happy that we beat their team, the Canmore Eagles. So while we were broadcasting the post-game show again. So while we were broadcasting the post-game show, this kid came out of the crowd, walked up to our play-by-play broadcaster Nathan there, and unplugged the tie line from the wall and walked away and dropped us all off air for a second. So I had to hop on the air and finish off what he was talking about. And then he came back on eventually, and as we were in commercials, this kid came up to me and just unplugged the tie line. we sat there just laughing for the rest of the broadcast there. And then we won against Fort McMurray last night. Actually, we played again last night, so that was another 5-1 win over Fort McMurray there.
When I was a kid, I would have got beat up for doing that, and I would have tried to do it anyways. That's the thing. Brandon Houck, thanks very much. Stick around, we got more of him coming up, but let's go in a minute to Joe Stover, who's up in Churchill, Manitoba.
Howdy, Joey.
Joe Stover up in Churchill. How do you do review on CKUW? How you doing? Review it.
Good. Good to see everybody. Good to see Johnny Sizzle there too. Hey, Martin, how you doing?
Hey.
Good. It is cold, Joey. We are under an extreme cold warning here in Churchill, and they're calling the next couple of days, as Brandon said, getting nice and chilly right now, as of the date of this recording, which is the 20 whatever. What is it? The 26th today? Who knows? Anywho, yeah, it's about minus 28 right now. And we're looking at probably some minus 40 to minus 50 wind chills over the next couple of days. And without the wind chill, we're looking at, some overnight lows of, minus 37. So it's we're getting there. I mean, it's certainly not the coldest that it can get up here, but let's get real here. That's pretty bloody cold.
What's new on the How Do You Do review show?
Well, it's been we're trying to get back into the saddle here. It's been a very, very busy time since fall, and just working sporadic hours and just trying to pump the show out as good as I can. And yeah, so it's been a bit slow going, but I'm hoping now that I'm back home in Churchill, I can, I've got all my studio equipment with me, and I can get back to, making regular shows, because I've certainly been missing making radio, and especially with CKUW, it's such a strong brand in Winnipeg and in the music scene with hardworking folks like Martin, Stu Reed, and Kent Davies, and just to name a few of the great people that do CKUW. I'm sure the same can be said for good old Seifer in Prince George, and like a lot of other community campus radio stations across the country. Anyway, I'm rambling, but yeah, hoping to get back in the saddle soon. And yeah, so that's really what's new. It's here in Churchill. I've been away kind of the last couple of months, it seemed. Kind of either
blame you.
Yeah. Well, I've been either in Winnipeg or Windsor, Ontario, Windsor was very nice. I got to go to Point Pelee, the southernmost point in mainland Canada, which is just below the 42nd parallel. And my girlfriend and I were enjoying this nice open water in the middle of December, and we were both taking it in, knowing full well that we were going to be back in Churchill very soon, where there would be no open water, probably until the middle of June or so.
Which is what you want for the polar bear's sake. We do got to keep
We
rolling
want
through,
that-
because I want to spend quite a bit of time with Glen and Martin as we go through the show, but I still haven't talked to Hilding, we haven't talked to Pete, and we haven't talked to Imogen yet. So let's get quickly, if you can. Pete, you're at Ice Sculptures right now. Pete Glen.
I am. Let me hop out of here. It looks like winter wonderland out here. I'll make it quick. Breckenridge, for the Canadians that aren't familiar, is like let me turn off my car. Is sort of like Banff's like southern sister city, mountain city. I'll say mountain range. So if y'all, besides the lake, reminds me of up there. But anyway, check it out behind me. Got all the lights up still, and there's an international. I'm gonna try to get down to this without sliding and falling. It is slippery, this path.
Well, if you do slip and slide, that's great.
Yeah,
radio. Just make sure
anyway,
Toyota
is sponsoring an international ice sculpture contest out here. And the last time I was here, they weren't quite done yet. And there's a lot of different teams, including a Team Canada. So let me try to run over here to make this a little bit quicker. It is about 15 degrees outside, Fahrenheit. Colder than a polar bear's toes or politician's heart. Depending on which way you want to look at it.
Pete's running to the ice sculpture.
Oh, yeah. Probably not too cold for some of y'all Canadians, though. For me, this is burr. All right. They're still working on this, so we are gonna get some live action footage over here. But all right. I drive a
How far
Hyundai,
is
but
it? Are you
shout out to
walking to the North
Toyota.
Pole?
There's their little Toyota sponsorship thing. Toyota, shout out to Houston Rockets. But check it out. They got these all lit up.
Oops.
Here it is.
Oh, damn. That is cool, man.
Wait. I meant to pin you, and I pinned Joe by accident.
So check it out. They're still working on them.
Oh wow.
But they
Is
got,
that a festival?
They
What
got
is
the
that thing? Describe the object. That's a strange object.
That was a little bit more abstract.
Modern
Here
snow
we got
art.
there's Team Mexico over here.
Mexican Fusca.
Theirs is pretty cubic. But then I like we got
There's like a dude coming out of the ground.
Mm-hmm.
You got
over
Where
there.
did-
I don't know.
it's kind of like Chetwynd, British Columbia, when they do the chainsaw carving, and there's just
Where
every
did they
kind
come
of
up
weird-
with the?
But check out, we got I thought this was yesterday. They had the United States, or 2 days ago they had the United States. Maybe the flags are just random. I don't know if this. Though that shows it on the. All right, I was confused. I thought it was Team USA, but it's actually Team
So-
Italy that has this cool nautical theme.
So what I
got
want you to
whale,
do, Pete, what I want you to do over the course, that is cool. So we got a bunch of whales coming. They're like diving into the ground. What I want you to do,
think that was
Pete,
the tuna there. Yeah,
if you can you hear me, Pete?
I can hear you. Yes.
So what I want you to do is go to the next thing and wait, and we're gonna come to you, the next good one, and then we'll come back to you and look at. I want you to keep showing them off, but I want to keep moving through. So.
All
You get
right,
what I'm
yeah, I'll
saying?
put myself on mute, and I want to see if I thought
Find the
there was
best
a
one.
Canadian one. They had a Canadian flag up here, so let me check it out. And
Okay, so we'll come back to Pete Galanko. He's done an amazing ice sculpture there. Hilding Donaldson, if you could, Grassy Plains, British Columbia. What are you saying on your daily weather reports today?
Well, it's kind of interesting. We've been having this warm weather. It started for us even before it did for anybody else in Canada, you know? Like, we haven't had anything below -4 since January 1st. And what happened this past week was kind of interesting. Last Saturday, we started having a southerly wind, and it warmed up even more. It stayed above freezing all week. But the wind persistently every day got a degree further west, and then now today it was from the northwest. It's just like it was like the wind direction was in a circle. It's a funny thing. I've never seen it happen, that the wind stayed warm, but it kept moving different angles like that. So that's kind of the interesting thing that happened this week here.
He's a swirling around in Grassy Plains. Imogen, you've been shooting guns?
Yes, I have. I've been shooting lots and lots of rounds, living the pew pew life. It's actually pretty awesome. I just finished a course using handguns. Also did some shotgun training today, lots of target practice, timed practice, sort of creeping up to stuff that would lead into doing speed drills and speed training. There's also a component on low light target shooting, as well as basically shooting in the dark. Lots of cool stuff going on there. Yeah.
And eventually the challenge to Imogen is to put a picture of Joey Olney up as target practice. So that is our run through of all the meteorologists so far this week. Excellent. In a second, we'll be right back with comedian Glen Foster.
well, I want to go back to the car, so let me just do this real quick. There's
Okay.
check this. We got this one is pretty cool, but
So
I
that's
just
like
walked around and it turns
what is
out
that,
all
like
the
an old
flags up
man
there are
face?
actually random.
Can
And
you
about half of these are U.S.
Can you describe
artists.
that thing for the radio listeners, please?
All right, we got some bearded man here. That's pretty cool. With has let's see what the description says over here. God of Snow, son of Sif, stepson of Thor, is what this one is.
I got
So that's
stepson
pretty
of
cool right
Thor.
there. But it is a little bit too cold for me, so I'm gonna head back. And I checked around, and all these flags up here are completely random. And Team Canada doesn't actually have an entry. And neither of those Team Mexico. I thought that was Team Mexico, but that was Team Germany. That just was their flag was up there, but on the side. So I got everything a little bit wrong.
I'd
Mexico
be impressed.
and Germany, they got some things in common.
I'd
Okay,
be,
thank you
I'd be
very much,
impressed.
Pete.
I'd be impressed if Mexico had a snow sculpture team.
But I put up a flag up there. I'd be impressed too. That'd be cool. That'd be like the Jamaican bobsled.
I was going to
team
say
with
like the Jamaican bobsled team.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, but they just put up a bunch of random flags, and then the actual statues have plaques in front of them that show there's anyway.
Okay, well, there's some Mexican Fusca. And we're back. Glen Foster, comedian.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You must have had some insights about the weather over all your years traveling across Canada. You don't get a name like that Canada guy without without thinking about things that Canadians think about, which is obviously high on the list is going to be the weather, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, I'd say the most snow that I've ever seen in my life was downtown Moncton. And I forget what the year was, but I remember the snowbanks were so high that you could not see the buildings downtown. You could not see the storefronts, right? So what they did was they would carve a little shelf in the snowbank, and like say the paint company would have all these cans, paint the name of what business was behind the snowbank, right? And I remember going to an instant teller, and it was like going through like a tunnel of ice, like a ice maze type thing, because it was just crazy. And I've never seen that much snow in my life. And I live in Ottawa now, so that's saying something.
Ottawa is sometimes quite a miserable place.
Well, it did get our fair share of snow because we're in a valley, right?
And the weather sucks too sometimes.
Well, yeah, it can. It can suck all year long, in fact, because we got all the moisture settles in the valley, and so you can sweat your butt off in the summer, and then in the winter you can freeze your butt off. So really, it's amazing anyone has any butt at all here in Ottawa.
That's true. It's that's the kind of weather that totally.
And if you want to hear my worst driving in the winter story. Because,
yes.
If you think about it, like the numbers of comedians that are on the road constantly in all kinds of weather, and there's been some people die over the years, but not a lot when you think about the number that are out there all the time in just horrific weather, sometimes. So one time we were driving to Stratford, which is a place near Kitchener, Ontario, if anybody knows. Doesn't matter, though,
they have the Shakespearean Festival there.
That's right. Here's an interesting thing about
which
Stratford.
Reminds me of this show.
Yes, very theatrical, very theatrical. So here's an interesting thing about Stratford. They had a huge meth problem, and I don't know if they still do, if these things go away or not. But
I'm going to bet they do.
But the reason was because someone like a Breaking Bad type dude, a cook, taught a whole bunch of people how to cook, right? And they had this huge meth problem. But I always said, on the positive side, you mentioned the Shakespearean Festival, right? So on the positive side, way more auditions for Toothless Wench.
Right. Can you imagine having to sit through 12th night, on meth?
Yeah, I don't know. I've never done meth, so I wouldn't know. But we're driving to Stratford, and it's like a kind of, it's not a backcountry road, but it's not a main highway, right? Driving, and especially at the time we were doing this years ago, so it's one of these nights where you can't see anything in front of you. So basically you're focusing on the lights of the guy in front of you, right? So we're following very slowly. We're all moving in this slow convoy. And then suddenly he just stops and doesn't go forward from there. I'm like, well, what the hell? And so I decide, okay, and I waited a little bit for him to go, but then it's like we're trying to get to a gig, right? So I pull out to the left to go around him, right? Because I thought, okay, I'll just go around him. But it was so much snow, we didn't know. We were already on the left side of the highway, and I pulled straight into the ditch. Right? Because I was like, I'm going to go around this guy, and I go around, bam, right into the ditch, right?
Yeah, that didn't go very well.
No. And the best snow story driving, I'll tell you, is years ago, before cell phones, right? We're driving up to Ottawa. I didn't live here at the time, but we're driving up to Ottawa, me and my friend Lawrence Morgenstern, and it's dicey roads, like really, black ice type stuff, right? And as we're driving up this highway, which was the 416, now it is the 416. It used to be old Highway 16, right? So we're driving up this highway, and you start to see people in the ditch, like all the various cars in the ditch. And I remember looking around going, hey, look at this and I didn't even get to finish the word. We flew right off the highway, right? Straight into a snowbank. My buddy Lawrence, with not misses a beat, right? Gets out of the car and walks to the nearest town, which is, I think, we were just coming up to an off ramp, right? But not that close. Like, he probably walked a couple kilometers at least, right? So he walks a couple kilometers. He walks into the first building he finds, which is, a bar, restaurant type place, finds a tow truck driver, comes back, pulls us out of the snowbank. No damage to the car at all, because we just, flew off the highway into this big fluffy pile. I'd have done it again if I could, right? It was a lot of fun.
It was kind of fun, yeah.
In retrospect, right? Flew off the highway. So we're back on the road, and this, again, pre-cell phone era, we're back on the road within 40 minutes of going off the road. Amazing. So that's my best highway snow story, and my worst.
I recall at the Kelowna Pass there, going over towards Merritt, and we're like, I think we'll try it anyways, leaving, and then we're going through Summerland, the snow's getting worse, and then a tow truck goes by, lights flashing, like, oh, that's not a good sign. Then an ambulance goes by flashing, and that's a pretty bad sign. Then shortly thereafter, another tow truck's going by, and it's like, okay, well, no, we're gonna turn off. We're gonna do this nice and slow, and then start seeing all these lights up ahead, and maybe will be what the ambulance was being called to. And as we get up to it, no, it's the ambulance itself in the ditch on its side. That's not even the accident that it was going to, and that was kind of the ominous time to maybe not do so. Time to turn around, go home. Martin,
no kidding.
Martin, also known as AKA the Johnny Sizzle. What do you got for Winnipeg weather? Your worst Winnipeg weather?
Worst?
Yeah, man.
That's huge ground. I know that when I was a teenager, that a lot of times it was so bad that it definitely made me have to, make the decision to leave. And you know what? It's rather bizarre. You'd think I would choose a day in winter to be just the worst of all, but I have to pick a day in summer where it was over plus 40 and everything, and we're not used to that here, for it to get that high and everything like that. But yeah, it almost felt like your sneakers were melting when you walked on the sidewalk and everything like that. And yeah, it's quite not very enjoyable, I would say.
So you do this comic reading.
Sneakers melting walking on the sidewalk. That's intense.
And getting stuck right to the sidewalk. You can't even sneak. So you do this comic reading. Talk to us about it.
Yes. When I begin my show, I say, comic book, radio, theater. And I give a dramatic reading of a comic book once a week. And it's always a different one every week. You have a clip to give you an example. What I do, with one hand, I have a synthesizer keyboard to make the background music and sound effects. And then on the other hand, I'm holding the comic book, and then I'm reading it into the microphone. Would you like me to introduce the clip for you?
Yes.
All right. This week's sampling of a comic book, radio, theater is from Archie Andrews and all his friends at Riverdale High. We're gonna look in on Jughead Jones, Archie's best friend. Okay? We'll listen to Jughead number 327. Published, printed, and put out on your shelves February of 1983. Run the clip.
That's excellent. And yeah, we'll throw a selection of that in for sure. Frankie McDonald, what do you think of our new friends Martin and Glenn? Should
He's
they?
a nice guy. He's a totally nice guy altogether. This right here for this. Wind was so powerful in Sydney, Nova Scotia earlier. Brought powerful winds with a lot of rain in Sydney, Nova Scotia earlier. I'm doing great so far. And Cowboy Frank Delball, it's coming out in May 2023, according to National Bobblehead Hall of Fame, Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Hey, Frank.
In May? All right.
Hey, Frank.
I'm also an author of book. Be Prepared. The Frank and Del Guide of Life, Weather, and Everything. It was published by Nimbus Publishing in Halifax, Nova Scotia.
Frankie.
What's up?
I was originally born in London, England. What's the weather like there today? London, England. Your face froze up in mine.
I think he's lost Wi-Fi for a sec there.
Oh, okay. I don't really need to know the weather there. I really need to know.
When he's back, he'll tell you.
I even have a driving story about. I pretty much have a driving story about every friggin' place in the country because I've been to most of them. But Sydney, again on the Canso Causeway, right? And blinding snowstorm. And I won't say who was driving because people will know who it is.
Here with this. What's going on?
So
it was the highest wind in the world in Sydney, Nova Scotia today. Up in the Highlands National Park, it was the windiest place on the planet today.
Right.
Continue on.
Oh, okay. So I was going to say, so we're on the highway and this other person is driving and I'm saying, hey, maybe we should slow down because, we can't see 10 feet in front of the car. And no, this person is like just a terrifying driver to be with, right? And we come screaming up behind something and I say something because I didn't know what it was. And I could see it looked like kind of a black hole in the snow, right?
That was a cow.
And everything was like you see a black hole in science fiction, all the stars being sucked into it type thing. But it was like all the snow was being sucked into this hole, which seemed to be about 20 or 30 feet in front of us, right? And he's racing up behind this thing. And all of a sudden I go, holy crap, it's a truck, right? The entire back of the truck was covered in snow. So you couldn't see that it was a truck. All you could see was the wind tunnel around it, right? And he's racing up behind this thing.
That's horrifying.
Yes, it was terrifying.
Yes.
Absolutely terrifying.
That is the most amazing cloaking device ever.
Pretty much.
Hurricane Fiona was the worst hurricane that hit last year in Sydney, Nova Scotia. Brought a lot of tree branches down. I had no power for a week. Hurricane Fiona and Ian's likely to be retired this April coming.
That's great news.
I've actually been watching the old Star Trek episodes on Netflix, and just the other night I went past the stealing of the cloaking device episode. Yeah, so you mentioned cloaking device, so
yeah.
I love old school Star Trek.
In my collection of nerdy things back at home, I have a latex Baylock mask. Do you remember the character Baylock?
Which one was he?
Wow.
The giant floating head played by what's his pickle's little brother, Ron Howard's little brother, the giggling baby at the end.
Oh, wow.
That was his first TV appearance. And he grew up to be legendarily known as one of the ugliest actors ever. He's a phenomenal actor.
I know. So when I watch these
cares?
episodes,
he's ugly.
When I watch these episodes, I I
You
check
can't
out.
outact ugly.
I get on Google and I check out the cast, the extras kind of thing. Usually the space babes to see what happened to them.
Yeah.
Right. And it's pretty wild stuff actually. And I keep thinking I might actually see one that I haven't seen, but no. So far I've seen them all. So. And it's funny too because they have a lot of kind of recurring themes, like bodies being taken over, minds being taken over, kind of stuff. But it's still fun to watch, I guess.
One of the fun things about that is, I mean, they had limited makeup artistry skills, but one of the driving factors behind the having their bodies invaded was Gene Roddenberry's undercurrent of perviness. He actually talks about it on I think it's called Inside Star Trek. It was a talk that he gave. It's Gene Roddenberry himself talking about this.
Oh wow.
The reason the suits were all painted on is because he basically wanted them naked. So he was trying to make it as revealing as possible. But in his original vision of Star Trek, it was a 50-50 male-female crew. But network executives told him, "Oh, Gene, 50% women. No. The public won't take that. It's just not realistic."
So I'm not.
But you can
not the only pervy producer, Imogen.
Well,
so you see.
But then Roddenberry thought about it, and they sort of had this back and forth and settled on a number. And I believe that what they agreed on was, I think it was 25% female crew. And Gene, in his unholy perviness, thinks about it and goes, 25% women. You know what? I think they can handle a 75% male crew. Let's do it. So that was part of his casting process was, with that in mind.
And I love every time there's a woman on screen is.
Oh yeah. Yeah, she's haunted.
Yeah, exactly. And with the Vaseline lens and everything else.
They're playing like a theremin.
Yeah.
I think
exactly. Yes, maybe, right?
Yeah. I play a theremin.
Do you know what? Do you know what I have? I have the set. I have the blueprints. I have the set of blueprints for the Enterprise that I at one point had on my wall, but took down and thought, this might be valuable one day, but now it's probably less valuable because it's been on my wall.
You know what I got, Glenn, is over 90 ships of all sorts hanging in the gallery at different heights.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I got. This is the geekiest Star Wars house there is.
I'm a bit of a pack rat, so I got all kinds of stuff, especially technology.
I got Pac-Man games too.
I've got an original Walkman, the Sport Walkman.
Oh hell yeah!
Came out in 1979, the year I was born.
I got that. I got
Sony Sport. Yeah.
I've got a Palm Pilot. I've got the original. It was a Sony organizer type thing, which is allegedly was going to recognize your handwriting. if your handwriting is like a 5-year-old engineer block print.
What it doesn't have is what you don't have is a Frankie bobblehead.
No, I don't have that.
Got it.
Wait a minute. In weather in Australia, it's getting really hot in northern Australia. If this is their summer, their fall doesn't start till March 2023. So is New Zealand. New Zealand's gonna get a lot of cyclones this March and April coming.
I have cousins in
Australia.
I have cousins in Tasmania. In fact, my uncle at one point was the chief of police of Tasmania.
Wow.
Isn't that wild?
Yes.
That's pretty awesome.
I can only imagine what kind of criminal misadventures happen in Tasmania.
Well, do you remember that? Do you remember?
Isn't the place? Weren't they? Isn't it like where criminals used to go? Right,
exactly. You remember? Do you remember the musician, artist, whatever, Alexei Sayle? Do you remember him? No, you wouldn't, because if you were born in '79.
Is he the one that was in? Was he the comic that was in The Young Ones?
I can't remember specifically, but when he went
Who
to
would play
Australia,
he played the Russian and whatnot, and the British show, The Young Ones. Alexei
Sale. So he may have. I do
I
not
think
know.
that's him. Yeah.
But he also had a really weird video called "Didn't You Kill My Brother?" And it's just him riding around on a tricycle going, "Didn't you kill my brother? Didn't you kill my brother?" And his music, of course, but that's it, right? So he did it. He went to Australia, and he tells the story. He went to Australia, and right at customs, they go, "Do you have a criminal record?" And he said, "I didn't know it was still a requirement."
That's awesome.
Isn't that great?
Good answer.
I always get so nervous at customs. I get nervous. So I'm always like sucking up to the customs guy. You know, it's like, "Did you buy anything?" "Yeah, I got you a shirt. I hope it fits."
That means when the Canadians buy stuff in America, they have to go through customs. They have to declare it. That you have to pay duties on it. If you buy over a certain amount, they got to pay duties.
Damn it.
At the last resort when before coming home is duty-free shops.
That's true. You can get Canadian stuff in duty-free shops cheaper than you can get it in Canada sometimes.
So do your duty.
Do your duty.
And also the Canadian border is I had a friend way back that managed to get in Canada through back roads without going through customs, but then he got caught by U.S. authorities coming back into the United States on the way back, but he didn't have anything on him or anything like that.
Don't
but
try that too many times, 'cause
and
we'll
banned
kill
from
you,
going to
man.
Canada. He got banned from going back to Canada, and he was fined like $5,000. And he was interrogated. They kept interrogating him like he was like some sort of, but he just didn't have his passport and wanted to go to Canada.
I was in Delta, British Columbia, and I asked where the nearest good coffee or where I could get coffee, and everyone told me down the street 2 blocks, and it seemed kind of odd. And then I realized that I was in America. Seriously, that actually happened. And to make just for the punchline, I happened to be smoking a joint because you go for a walk and smoke a joint, and I realized I just walked across the border smoking a joint by accident. Like, I didn't even try to be badass.
What's going on with Michael Sanikoff in Ukraine?
I haven't caught up with him recently, and I really should. I've been busy working on my stuff. I should catch up with him, see how he's doing. I saw that there were some new missile strikes by Russia on Ukraine, so I hope he's in a safe area. Though the situation is, it just keeps dragging on, which is unfortunate because I know there's a lot of stuff you'd like to do outside of Ukraine, and in Ukraine and outside of Ukraine, and it's yeah.
Okay. On Base Guy Show, there's people from Indonesia starting to watch Base Guy Show now. People from Indonesia starting to watch Base Guy Show now because the Base Guy Show is getting a lot of Indonesian followers.
That's interesting. Indonesian follows watching Montreal's Base Guy. So Frankie, in regards to our guests, Glen Foster, the comedian, and Martin Howell, also known as Johnny Sizzle, do you think we should have them come back on the show anytime they want?
If you want to follow my social
hey,
media,
Frankie, not yet. I'm asking, should we have Glen Foster and have Martin join the show, join the cast? Should we ask them?
If they follow Frankie's social media first, I think yes.
I didn't know. I didn't. I
Hey,
would.
Frankie.
I would do it in a different kind of weather, in a different season. We should do it 4 times a year.
Frankie, should we have Glen back on? Should we have Martin back on?
You have to get Glen back onto your show once again.
Absolutely. And Martin too, you like him?
Glen is a really nice guy.
And you like Martin too, don't you? He said that before.
He's another nice guy as well.
Right
Martin
on. So
will return to your show too.
Frankie says, stick it, you're on the group chat. You can come on any Thursday you like.
Okay.
Excellent.
Yeah. And
it's usually my karaoke night, but sure.
If I get around to if I get around to actually making any kind of snow thing this year, usually I manage to get one like snowman or snow. Last year I made a dragon, and generally I make something. But we've only had one opportunity of decent packing snow, and the next day it all melted. So I spent like all freaking afternoon making this giant snow thing. I didn't even know what it was going to be. I was just piling snow as high as I could, and then it rained the next day. And it's like, well, what's the point of that now? So.
And you need to go down to Colorado there, where Pete seems to have the ideal conditions for making snow sculptures and all that. Frankie McDonald, how do people find you on the internet?
My Twitter is at Frankie McD. My Facebook is Frankie McDonald. My Instagram is Frankie McD1984. My TikTok is FrankDown1984. My Clapper is FrankDown1984. My Twitch is FrankDown1984. My LinkedIn is Frankie McDonald. And my Snapchat is Frankie MacDon. And my YouTube channel is Dogs and Wolves.
Is this written down somewhere?
In his brain. Frankie McDonald, our regular, the meteorologist himself. I'm Joey Only here in Wells, British Columbia, listening to us on C4 88.7 FM, CKUW 95.9 FM, the Comedy Meteorology Show, your show about how much the weather sucks in Canada. This week's special guest, comic Glen Foster down in Ottawa, and of course, Martin Howell, who's also known as Johnny Sizzle. He's running a radio show in CKUW. Tune into that. And we got Brandon Houck, the radio man, who's broadcasting on every station, it seems like, in Alberta these days. He's out in Brooks, Alberta, coming out of 105.7 FM, Real Country Radio, his home station. Imogen Cookie Bailey, she's down in Victoria. Pete Galenko and Hilding Donaldson, who's out in Glassy Plains. He hasn't said too much tonight, but it's always good to have him with us. And that's our crazy panel. That's our crazy show. We want to be on more radio stations, so ask your radio station what they can do. If you want to see the video version of the show, do find us on Joey Only Caribou Weather Dude. And Imogen points out she's not in Victoria at the moment. She's in a hotel and been shooting guns in the hotel. So that's how you can find her, imogen.in. Yes, shooting guns in the hotel. Okay, everybody, that's the show this week. There was so much to fit in and so many clips to throw in. It's going to be so much fun. Yes. Goodbye, everyone. Thanks.
Shooting guns in a fucking hotel?
What are you doing?
According to Joey, I'm shooting guns in a hotel.
Okay.
Well, I have her gun video she sent me to throw in.
I'm in Maple Ridge right now. Or Pitt Meadows or whatever, one of these little fucking just outside of Vancouver municipalities.
Yeah, a lot of guns there. There's a lot of guns there.
Damn right. This is a place
Martin,
to go.
you were actually on my show in Vancouver, if you recall, Sound Resistance Radio at Co-op Radio 15, 20 years ago.
I don't remember much of my life in Vancouver.
You came to town. I don't think you were visiting. You were in Winnipeg at the time. But you were in Vancouver for some reason, and you came on my radio show. Was
that was in 2008?
Yes, that would have been right about the right time. Yeah.
I don't know why I was there, but for some reason I was.
Yeah, you sang songs on the air in my show.
Oh,
like 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Joey, I should get him to play the song that you provided the fire for.
Speaking of fire,
you remember you sent me that clip?
Which one?
The forest fire clip.
Yeah, I just don't remember what music's in it.
No, there's no music in it. It ended up going in the song that I did with Rick Blue of Bowser and Blue.
Oh, sweet, right.
That rich assholes did this to us.
Yeah, right. Yeah, just some video footage. Fuck, you know how it is. It's like
it turned out really well, that video. Like I was surprised how it came together, especially as it was all pandemic time and we couldn't actually get together. But it turned out all right. I should send.
I've seen some of your footage in a video. I'd be like, probably.
No, you sent it to me. I asked you.
I know.
I asked you for it. I was like,
until you
where else? Like, where else can I get fire? Where else can I get forest fire footage?
Yeah, I'm the guy for that. Brandon, you've been so quiet all episode, and you're just.
I'm enjoying it. It's great.
You've been really smiling a lot. Yeah, just beaming over there. beaming. We're still
So I got a video
on the
going.
YouTube right
I got
now.
I got a video going now, but you can't play it on the radio because there's hardly any. It's music, like it's a visual. You got to see it. Right. So it's not good for your radio show. But I'm gonna send you one that will be good.
But at least we're gonna be so tight for this show too. Just trying to get any extra clips in is gonna be hard. But
Oh, this will be under a minute.
We're still broadcasting right now on YouTube as well. So that's what's really great is we have extra time now to sort of whatever we didn't say or feel like. And this about now is when I take my leak and get ready to smoke a bong.
Well, it's on TikTok too. You can find it. My TikTok is Foster Funny.
I fucking hate TikTok, but I would go to that.
You know what? I hate all of it, but it's a necessary evil and a tool that you have to use. I
might get back on TikTok.
I just feel like TikTok is like what they decide to do at the very top is like sitting around one day, like, what do people have too much of? Like, I still think maybe they got a little bit too much attention span. Like, you're right. Let's create a platform that will just beat any fucking ability that anybody has left to pay attention to anything in the world by just giving them 20-second fucking clips of bullshit.
We should make a new
I had this girl
platform
living here.
that
I had this
shorts it to
girl living here
3-second
who for
clips.
12 fucking hours a day, she just sat there and she'd get about 2 seconds into most of the videos. I'm just like, God.
TikTok is awful. I don't understand the appeal.
I'm like,
I don't get it either.
I'm like in the other room doing kung fu and like trying to be mindful, and she's fucking scrolling for 12 hours.
Man. No, it is
Anyway,
easy. It is easy to go down the
mentioned-
hole, though.
You mentioned Star Trek earlier. I always do these hand signs to represent where I'm from, Virginia. And if you look at clips, old Pharrell Williams, old music videos with Pusha T and stuff, they always do this the reverse way, which just stands for Virginia, or I guess maybe the reverse of live long and prosper, die slow, I guess, to enemies. Though I think it just stands for Virginia. And they were in the news recently. Bape, Pharrell Williams' clothing brand, is from Virginia Beach, Virginia, and Norfolk area. Some Pusha T, and anyway, they are getting sued by Nike because their Bape shoes look too similar. Same, but different. But I kind of like the Bape shoes, and they're anyway. I gotta go. There's some nice, dry, well-packed snow to drive on here. It's not too windy over here, but the roads coming up here are super windy. But I've never actually watched Star Trek before, but Pharrell Williams has some old cool clips.
Why did you fucking say that?
I've watched clips of it, and I've watched the.
You saw it on
Virginia
TikTok,
Beach,
the 20 seconds of Star Trek?
PSE clips, the music group with Pharrell Williams. They had some Star Trek themed ones, and then I also throw up the V for the Verge, the thing that I'm affiliated with. But anyway, I'll get back on the road and I'm going to drive some more.
Go back to 1967 in that DeLorean you got there.
You know what? Just to defend him.
Watch some Star Trek. I'll watch some Star Trek. Anyway.
Okay, just to defend him, there are people who have never watched Star Wars either.
Yeah,
they may hear, but yeah. So
I've just seen a Star Wars movie all the way through.
Star Wars.
It would seem weirder. It would seem weirder that people haven't watched Star Wars, but the difference is that Star Wars was never on syndication on TV for years and years and years and years. It's like okay, you didn't sit down and watch a whole Star Wars movie. Okay, I can kind of get that. It's a 2.5 hour long fucking movie, but it's like, but Star Trek is just on. It's like you've never watched. Oh, I watched clips of it. God, what I want to ask you, Martin, is can you play us a Johnny Sizzle song?
I guess so. I have my guitar here. You know, I want to practice.
Okay, this is not because he's picking up a guitar, but because I got to get going. I got several things I got to do here. But thank you very, very much for having me on the show. I would certainly pop in again at some point. And thanks to Frankie. That guy's amazing, Frankie. That's pretty impressive. Funny and impressive at the same time. So anyway,
and literally, like, so you got to see that group chat. It's like any Thursday. You're like, fuck, I think I'll just jump in and see how everyone's doing. do so, right? Like we're trying to accumulate a cast of cool people, and Frankie gives you the okay. I knew he would, but you know,
all good.
We have people who come and go. We haven't seen Joe Stover in like a month and a half, but you know, it's like Joe Stover shows up for a little bit, and there is kind of that randomness because I don't know who's coming.
There you go. Well, it's nice meeting you all, and hopefully we'll see you again at some point.
Right on, Glenn. Thanks for being with us, man.
My pleasure. Bye-bye.
All right, I'll play you a song. This is this has to be the latest song I just wrote. Does anyone know of a cryptid paranormal thing known as the Jersey Devil?
Yep. Zoology, man.
Yeah,
I wrote a song about the Jersey Devil. So, and I was actually surprised when I went out there, looked over in the internet, that no one's ever written a song about the Jersey Devil. So I was very surprised about that. Anyway, here's my attempt at heavy metal. And here we go. There's an evil in the Jersey forest that never dies, it never rests. A demon rules over the barren ground. You know it's Lord by its high-pitched sound. Let this child be a devil tonight. Motherly screams and all her pain. Birthmark of numeral 13. Witch's spell creates a beast of pain. Oh, 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 no. Not ever. No, ever. I have no choice but to believe, for I have seen it with my own eyes. Tell priest, tell them you must all go. No human heart wants to know what I have seen, what we all seen, what has been seen, what you will see. Pure evil. As you go into the more and more union lost, it didn't seem like such a big trouble. Now you look at your life cost, trapped by the wicked will, forced to a dimensional hell, claws of a mystic bioorganism. Holy Lord, there's no exorcism. I've done all I can. Nothing can be done. All is done. We are all done. You've seen the unknown. You've seen the unknown. There has been the unknown. Now you've seen the unknown. Was it worth it? Was it? I see. I have no choice but to believe, for I am there with my own eyes. Till priest yells, oh, you must all go. No human heart wants to know what I have seen, what we have seen, what has been seen, what you will see.
evil.
That was fucking wicked, man.
Yeah, first time I've ever had a heavy metal song in my head to
Yeah,
to,
I
to
like
make
it.
a song.
I really like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first time I heard one of your songs was like on that Toronto punk compilation, I think, from 1998.
Ooh. Yeah, I don't remember.
It was like all the hardcore bands were on there: Dirty Bird, Bunch of Fucking Goose, Random Killing, you name it, Shitloads, and all the heavy bands. And then there's like Johnny Sizzle.
Yeah, I
was
do
like, what
have
is
this.
this?
I do have a very bizarre, I guess, recording history, music history, because I'm completely unaccepted by the folk music crowd.
Yeah.
Absolutely, like even the folk punk crowd think I'm a little bit too much for them.
Yeah.
You know, it's sometimes very lonely feeling. Like I feel like I'm the only one doing that one thing in my life and stuff like that. And
I know what you mean.
yeah, like why can't other people thrash like I?
Yeah, man, I hear you.
Yeah, maybe I'll come up and do a show in your neighborhood.
I live in like the fucking mountains, man.
Oh, you don't live in a city?
Not at all. I'm 4,000.
Okay.
I'm 4,000 feet above sea level, and Wells population 250.
Oh, okay.
80 kilometers from Quesnel, British Columbia, up in the Caribou Mountains here. And as you can tell by my moose heads and bear heads and deer heads and wooden walls, it's like I got a red-green like lodge here in the mountains. It's hilarious.
Okay.
So I've been just being sober and hanging low for a while, and making videos and hanging with my kids.
Oh, that's cool. That's
Yeah,
cool.
it's kind of my life these days, whereas like I used to be Joey only, playing rock and roll and hanging out, doing fucking partying and rocking. I guess that time's kind of over, and I haven't changed much in a lot of ways, but I've changed a lot in a lot of ways.
Well, one of my roommates here at the group home I live in a group home for schizophrenics. It was his birthday, and we were talking about just how grateful you should be to your parents because they've really made a sacrifice to have you. And a lot of times I find myself, you never really realize it until you turn like late 30s, early 40s and stuff like that. Like, oh,
it's
wow.
making a sacrifice.
Yeah, you realize it and stuff like that.
It's not a sacrifice. It's just changes I had to make.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it is a sacrifice, but for them, in a way it's not too, if that makes any sense. Like,
yes, I understand.
It's just what I have to do because I made them, so I lost all my fucking rights to be the crazy asshole I was being. You know what I mean?
But at least you did it when you did it.
Oh, and I was fucking crazy. I had so much fun, man.
Yeah.
And I'm still crazy in my own way. It's just now I'm up in the mountains and practicing kung fu and making radio shows and some weeks not talking to many adults.
Well,
until Thursday night, and we all come on the show, and we're all a show of weird people, whether it's my mental health history, Brandon, he was nonverbal autism till he was, and now he's a radio guy. You know, same with Frankie. He was nonverbal autism. You know, generally that's a part of our cast is here's a place for us to have a bit of a voice, you know?
Yeah.
And keep it weird because of it.
Yeah. Well,
We're
that's
weirdos, and let's make a weird fucking radio show, not try to be something that we're not, and not try to make, you know, something that's already been made. There's lots, so you can go to the Weather Network and find, you know, what the temperature is right now, but there's something else that's uniquely the experience of living in Canada and community. And here we are just across the board, and you know, we might have Trey show up from fucking Houston, Texas sometimes, and he's another example. You know, I believe he's on the spectrum as well, right? So it's like, you know, and then he gives his fucking, he's a comedian and he's a radio guy, and it's like he gives his total take on what's going on in Texas, and it's like you just never really know. Some weeks we have a lot of people show up, some weeks only 4 or 5. It just depends what everyone's doing. You know, these last couple of weeks have been really busy, lots of people in the show, and that's great. But you know, when we have the shows where only 4 people shows up, then it's like really good that 4 people showed up. So it's, you know, I'm never unthankful when if we have 5 or 10 people, like, you know, at a big show like today, because you just never know when everyone's availability will be and how it will work out. So it's like sometimes we get everybody, then that's how it is.
okay, cool.
You know what I mean? So yeah, come on the show. Frankie
Well,
likes you.
That's the thing about college radio, is that you can be weird and it can be all right.
You know, and as you're a CKUW programmer too, like you know, pop in sometimes, you know?
Yeah.
Keep us updated on your show and sing us a song and shit. It's,
Hey,
I mean,
well,
you got
this
the idea
radio,
how we run, and whoever our featured guest of the week is, like, we give them kind of the top slot, but everybody who shows up gets to talk.
well, that's only fair. When do you think that your next episode is on? Like other than, I know, Monday.
So yeah, this one I'll create it tomorrow, probably in the morning, and then while I'm having my coffees, and then so it'll air in Prince George on Saturday morning, and then in Winnipeg on Monday at noon, and then again in Prince George on Tuesday. And we're trying to get a third station, and I feel like they're gonna bite, but then they've been quiet for a while.
Oh, okay.
And then next Thursday we do it all over again.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah.
All right. It's for Winnipeg, it's 10 in the morning on a Monday, right?
No, it's noon.
Noon. Okay,
Local
noon.
time. Yeah.
Okay.
Noon local time.
All right. I will try to listen and stuff like that. I will try.
That's cool, because like I've never had that experience of listening to the Winnipeg version. You know, I've listened to the Prince George version a bunch of times, not on the airwaves so much, once on the airwaves.
Oh.
But on Mondays I never think, oh, I should go on to CKUW.ca and hear my show being played.
I can't see it being really any different, other than maybe a PSA here and there.
Well, yeah, it's neat to hear your own show, you know, sometimes.
It is, but always keep in mind that other people do shows too. It's not all about yourself and everything. It's always smart to do that. And
totally, man.
And sometimes you can feel very alone if you just only listen to your show and stuff like that.
And generally I don't listen to it at all. You know, so for the number of years we've been doing this show, and I mean, my experience in doing live radio is you go in, you sit in the studio, you do it, you walk out, and it's over. So I still kind of have, like, once I send it to the radio stations and it's up on the YouTube, it's over. I kind of have that still mentality about it, right?
You know, I'm thankful for something when it comes to radio and myself, and that is, when I listen to my own show, at least I don't hate my voice, because some people just hate the sound of their own voice, no matter how long they've been doing something. At least, okay, I don't hate the sound of my voice or anything like that.
Well, it's you got almost the Brandon Houck voice going on too, a little bit like radio.
Yeah.
You got the radio voice, eh, Brandon? But
Oh
not
yeah,
the
I just
typical
have
one.
to move my mic for radio tomorrow morning, but yeah.
Give us an example of Brandon Houck on the radio.
Brandon
Just
Houck on the
pretend.
radio. All right, so I'll just pull up my forecast from today. So I'll just do a little quick 10-second dealio here. I'll just craft my forecast.
With station IDs. I want to hear like Brandon.
All right.
Brandon on the go.
Okay, you ready for this?
Let's hear the Doppler boy voice.
And while you're looking at him on the screen there. All right. Weather with Brandon Houck, the Doppler boy. Here we go as we go through the rest of the day. Today, we will continue to see that partly cloudy sky. Those winds will be out of the north-northwest at 20 to 30, gusting about 50 to 60 kilometers an hour, and that high around 6 degrees. Overnight tonight, low down to -1. Then for tomorrow, the temperature will continue to fall through the day with that snow falling. Potentials there for 2 to 4 centimeters of snow, and that temperature dropping to -6. Saturday, a few more flurries and a high of -14. Sunday, morning flurries and only a high of -17. And that wind chill could feel like -31 late in the day. Then by Monday, partly cloudy with a slight chance of flurries and a high of only -8. And that's a look at the weather for Brooks.
So there you go. You both have those the higher end voices, and then you got, and I'm definitely a bass voice. So what's really good to have is a sonic spread. I really think as well. I think I'm at the point where I need to make food and start downloading the show and signing off. And yeah, it's been a complete show, I think. And some of the people who are watching on YouTube said that they really enjoyed the episode. So I think the published version will be that much more fun because I'm going to throw in some of the Mexican Fusca fucking hip hop, 20 seconds of it here and there between clips, because I want to start having a little bit more, just break up the flow kind of. Yeah, you'll see, making it sound more pro. That's what I want. Okay, everybody, that's thanks for coming by the channel. Thanks.
Okay.
We still got
See you
Martin
next
here. We still got
week.
Hilding. Good to see you, Hilding. Still got Brandon Houck here. Thanks everybody. Thanks you guys for coming on. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe, hit like, be a part of the channel. I'm trying to make something here. Okay, that's it for me this week. Yeah.
Okay.
Bye now.
Bye.